welcome everyone. This is your host, Lee.
And I'm Casey Lucid.
Hey everyone, welcome back for episode 12, where we continue on our most asked questions for lucid dreaming. In the last episode, we went over more basic questions of how to induce or how to control or even going into a basic lucid dream. And in this episode, we have more questions that involve with dealing while you're in control of your lucid dreams.
All right.
So Casey, you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right, so the first question we have for today's episode. So when you're lucid in a dream, is there a limit to how deep lucidity can go?
That is an excellent question, and that would be a difficult one to answer, but I would say probably not. And I only say that from experience because I've had lucid dreams where it's been difficult to, move something, with my mind, for example, to move something just an inch. But then I've had dreams where I could just literally fly into outer space and turn into Dr. Manhattan and disassemble the fabric of the reality within the dream. So the depth of possibility in lucid dreams is insane. I've read dreams from people where they could just go into different worlds and then just have these incredibly detailed NPCs, basically non-playable characters for non-gamers out there, but it's basically you can have these really weird detailed characters with complex storylines, and then it can go so far in depth. I'll give you a perfect example. One time I had a dream that there was this fungus that had invaded Earth, and it had made some chimps telekinetic. He gave them telekinetic abilities. And this scientist in the dream explained to me that the way that they had telekinetic abilities is they actually managed to communicate with the spores in the air that were surrounding everything and tell the spores to move things with their mind. And it was so unbelievably realistic. I'm just blown away that a dream could come up with something like that, So I would say that there's no limit to the depth of lucid dreams.
No depths? Okay. So I feel like I have to kind of ask this because this is kind of a very general question, but what happens if you dream inside a dream? I feel like this would be a question that's kind of catering to this kind of type of question as well. Would that be possible? Or if you're in your lucid dream and you meditate, what happens then?
It's a good question, but it's so weird because okay, I'll give you an example just to kind of relate it to lucid dreams, just to kind of help people that maybe haven't lucid dreamt. Imagine that you're writing a story, so you're making up the characters and what they're doing, right? In a way, you are creating a character, and that's one layer, and then you can make that character create something else. So that's a multiple layer. So the depth of creativity to the human mind is so limitless. And I'll give you one instance of a lucid dream that I had, and this was actually not so long ago. It was maybe 3 months ago. I dreamt that I was going to see a play at the Parthenon in Greece. I was going to see a theater play, but me and my friends, we were all wearing kilts and Scottish outfits. But it was also kind of not ancient Scots, but we were kind of steampunk Scotsman looking outfit. It was weird. So while we were waiting, I was in a little fold out chair. I laid back in the fold out chair and I took a nap while waiting for the show because it was going to be a couple of hours before the show got started. So while I was dreaming, while I laid down in the chair, I had another dream. And the dream, I have to look at my dream journal. I don't remember the details off the top of my head, but it had something to do with these space worms playing ping pong. So it was a brief dream, and then I woke up within that dream. I woke up on the Parthenon, on the stairs of the Parthenon in my fold-out chair, and my friend Ed and my fiance, they were waking me up, and I was oh yeah, that's right, sorry, I dozed off, it's time for the show. And then later on I woke up again. So it's kind of it's kind of like a mind trip, it's what just happened. So yes.
That's kind of crazy.
Yes, it can definitely happen.
So I think, yeah. So I think, how would you gauge your kind of lucid control at this point in that dream? Was it kind of a beginner, or was it more kind of a developed?
One thing, and I think a lot of the more seasoned lucid dreamers will agree, at a certain point it's just interesting to be lucid and aware in a dream, but you want to just kind of follow it along. You're not trying to manipulate the dream, you're just experiencing it because you want to see where it goes. So I remember in the dream I was lucid when I was on the steps of the Parthenon, and then I just felt tired and I sat down and I decided to take a nap. But then within that dream, within the deeper level dream, I wasn't aware that I was dreaming. When I woke up again from that dream, within the other dream, I didn't stay lucid. I just went back to just being a normal dream. So it's odd how that happens. It's really odd how that happens.
That's a lot of layers, and that's kind of a mind blast,
but
honestly.
That's
awesome.
I have talked to people where they've had like 3 or 4 levels of lucidity, of like going into a dream and then going like, if once you're lucid in a dream, you can actively decide to go to sleep in the dream to have another dream. It doesn't always work out, but it's just a really...
But it's possible, and it's there.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and most people don't realize how... I mean, yeah, there's a lot of depth to lucid dreams, and just
okay.
like it's only limited by your imagination. I honestly mean that when I say it.
All right, so I think to wrap that kind of answer up, it's basically due to the human creativity, which is basically limitless.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question, I think a lot of people kind of wonder if you can have a dream as a cartoon or anime or some kind of monster, or while you're in a dream, I guess.
Yes, 100% yes, and it is so much fun. Do it, go lucid dream, people, because it's probably the only way that you can experience being in a cartoon until VR gets really good. But so one of my favorite things that I used to do, like whenever I first started lucid dreaming, I would immediately, that's like my default for some reason, I would just go to like turning Super Saiyan and then going off to Planet Namek to fight Frieza. All the DBZ fans out there will catch the reference. But basically, like I loved, like you see like in anime how they, like in Dragon Ball Z, how they're like superhuman and they're fast and like do all these insane things. Yes, you can do all of that in a lucid dream. It takes practice and concentration to get to that point, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that when you're dreaming, you're usually yourself, and then once you kind of gain control, you're able to kind of transform anything and everything, right?
Yeah, and even if you're not lucid dreaming, like I've had some really like just out there dreams, just completely abstract. I think the most abstract dream that I ever had was I was like a green square and I was trying to save this, but it was 2-dimensional. Like I was I was looking at a piece of paper and I was a green square and I was trying to save this pink circle from these black rectangles. It was really bizarre, but like there was emotion, there was drama. It was weird.
It's very esoteric.
but you can have like experiences like that. Like I've had dreams where like everything looked like it was made out of 8-bit, like pixelation. So it's only your imagination that's the limit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they experience dreams, it's just themselves because it's very personal matter. Speaking of what you said, though, I did just read an article where gamers, when they're dreaming, they can kind of will themselves to go in first person or third person, like in a video game when you're controlling someone else. I think that's pretty awesome. So
nice. And actually, Dr. Stephen LaBarge talks about how apparently people that play video games have a higher success rate of lucid dreaming, and it might have something to do with the fact that you're immersing yourself in a different reality when you're playing video games, and when you come out of it. So it's like, it's weird because it's kind of like training your mind to flip in between realities.
Absolutely, I can definitely see that. That's something to think about. All right, so on to the next question, we have how to increase focus while in lucid so that you don't go back to regular dreaming. So I think this one's a little bit different, and we've kind of already partially answered this in the last episode. But why don't you take a stab at kind of more of the second part to this question?
Okay. Yeah. So a lot of people that try lucid dreaming mistakenly discount the fact that they need to take care of their waking self. What I mean by that is the quality of sleep that you get and the state of mind that you're in when you go to sleep 100% impacts your dreams and your lucid dreams. So if you are distracted, like let's say you had a very emotional event in your life, it's going to impact you in your dreams. So that's one thing to consider, is how is your external environment when you're trying to lucid dream? Because, and I speak from experience when I know it definitely impacts me. Some people, it's the opposite. Some people perform better under stress, or if they have something like, some people will, I've talked to people before that they have more lucid dreams and more intense lucid dreams when there's stress and chaos in their life. And that's fine, if it's a matter of knowing yourself. Things that people can generally try to do in a lucid dream to assist with the focus is, one is if a dream gets too crazy or you start getting excited or something like that and you're having difficulty staying focused, you could just stop and look at your hands, or you can just stop and look down, try to focus on one spot, try to block out maybe the sounds or the visuals that you're experiencing. All of those things can help. And then sometimes I've also heard of, I think this was in the Tibetan Dream Yoga book by Tenzin Rinpoche, chanting, because it's kind of like it can help you get into like a meditative state. Like if you have like a chant that you're just used to like chanting over and over, that can also help get you focused or tuned in. So things like that.
Yeah, so it's really up to kind of the individual for themselves to really see if, what fits for them.
Yeah, I mean, like there's so many people, for example, that I know that when they go to sleep, they leave the TV on. Well, that TV, like you can pick up on the sound or the light from the TV. It's disturbing you. And it may be the type of disturbance that you want, but more than likely, it's the type of disturbance that you don't want if you're trying to experience a lucid dream. Because let's say something happens and there's like a light flashes on the TV that ends up waking you up. Those are things you have to think about, your environment that you set up when you go to sleep. That's important.
I think this kind of thing does take a little bit of tuning to get that kind of, not perfect sleep, but kind of a sleep where you are able to go lucid.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, and also, sorry, but another important thing that I kind of wanted to mention is, like, I have asthma, for example. So if I'm in a flare, I know I'm not going to be sleeping well. So that's another point, is take care of your health. If you have something that is going to disturb your quality of sleep, definitely make sure you have that taken care of.
So do you think mental health conditions could affect this as well? This is another one of our questions.
Yeah, 100%. The thing is, in a dream, you're still you. And usually the things that interest you or bother you end up manifesting in a dream. Sometimes dreams are just completely random, but often there's something there. Whether you have some kind of an emotional, psychological, or just out of interest, there's some kind of a response. So yes, I would say that they can definitely impact you.
I think we mentioned this somewhere before, but people with more anxiety tend to have more kind of creepier or standard like scary dreams in general. And I think that's a reflection of what they experience in the waking life, coming over for their mind to process.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to the next question. For people who never dreams or remember their own dreams, would lucid dreaming be possible?
Yeah. I think actually Dr. LaBarge talks about this, how absolutely anybody can lucid dream. Even blind people can lucid dream, meaning like blind from birth people can lucid dream. Now they may not necessarily experience images, but they can still become aware of the fact that they're dreaming, even if it's just through sounds. The main thing is, you can try experimenting with like taking vitamin B5 or ginkgo biloba or something like that helps boost your memory. You can take galantamine. You could try meditating. Look at your routine. Like, how do you wake up in the morning? How do you go to sleep in the evening? Definitely keep a dream journal, or heck, just keep a regular journal. It'll help you pay attention to your thoughts, and your dreams are all thoughts, you know? So it's just, it takes effort.
Yeah, I think effort is the key to this. I think the first step is definitely trying to be more aware of what you can remember after waking up, you know, which, as you said, a journal helps.
Yeah.
Any record really helps. All right, so
Yeah.
next question we have, if I did X, you know, something crazy in my dream while lucid, am I a crazy or a not normal person? So this kind of deals with, hey, I maybe went on a killing spree like in a video game, or I did something awful to, you know, someone I know.
So, okay. So this is something that commonly gets brought up in the lucid dreaming forums. So I don't think that there's anything bad. You can do literally anything in your lucid dream, and I don't think it's bad of you to do it, unless you think it's bad of you to do it, unless it negatively impacts you somehow. And here's why. I would rather you go on a murder spree in your dream than on a murder spree in real life. And I know that some people will say, well, like, oh, well, what if they do it in a lucid dream and then that translates over into real life? Well, that's kind of like a fallacy, just like saying that kids that play video games, violent video games, then end up being violent in real life. It's possible, sure, but by and large, that's not the case. I would say, like, you know, there's a lot of really, really great things that you can do in lucid dream. But if that's what you want to try to experience, maybe you feel like you want to take a bat to your boss's head, but you can't do that in real life, you know? Maybe you want to try lucid dreaming. I doubt that you'll actually, like, let's say you do that in a lucid dream. I doubt that you'll actually end up doing that in real life. If you do something, so, like, I've tried experiments in lucid dreaming to see how I would feel after I do them. You know, like, if you do something in a lucid dream and it actually bothers you, like, you really feel like it was bothering you and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, then don't do that thing. And then definitely don't do that thing in real life. At least you have like a kind of like an isolated environment where you can test things and see how you respond to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about what you just said, that you should probably experiment about what things you're okay with. And we even talk about lucid dreaming being very introspective. So I think it's probably a common theme. You know, you have sex with a person that you've crushed on for a long time inside your dream. That could be great, or that could be, you know, not so great to you as a person, because, you know, it's not real. It's just a dream, or, you know.
Yeah. Or you could end up just being like, oh, I didn't actually, like, after you do it, and then you're like, oh, I actually didn't want to be with that person, or something like that. It's like, it can help you come to the realization. But also, another important thing to keep in mind is that anything you do in a lucid dream, you're basically doing to yourself. So, like, your mind fabricates the entire environment. So it's like, if you're eating a piece of chocolate, it's like, basically, like, you have to think about the fact that it's like, it's all you. It's in a dream, it is all you. If you're eating a piece of chocolate and that's all you, if you're killing somebody, that's all you. So it's like, how do you want to treat yourself? You know, and some people might be okay with, you know, killing themselves, but, you know, just keep it in the realm of the lucid dream.
Yeah. Since dreams are so personal, I think some people also kind of get weird looks when they share like a nightmare where all of their close ones are killed, maybe by them indirectly or directly. And, you know, when you share these kind of stories, you get weird looks from, you know, other people. The key thing is that you decide what is you. And especially, whatever you dream of is definitely not you unless you let it be. So,
right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, and it's not only that, it's like, you know, like, we all make mistakes in the real world, and then we try not to let those mistakes hang over us all the time. So people do mistakes in the real world, and then they can be forgiven. And then, you know, I really think it's better for somebody to try to do something outrageous or crazy or homicidal or whatever in a lucid dream. That way you know, they can resolve things in their own head, and it doesn't carry over into the real world.
So I think everyone should just take a, you know, baseball bat to their boss's head in their dreams. So this does lead to our next question. What if you have problems blurring reality and lucid dreaming?
Okay, well,
If you ever had that problem.
so the only time that I've ever had that problem is where I've had a dream that was just so real, it felt more real than this reality. Usually what happens is I'll wake up and it'll take me like 2 or 3 minutes to kind of like come to this reality and then just realize where I am and who I am and what's going on. I don't think there's any lasting effects from that. There might be. I mean, anything's possible, and I haven't done the thorough research to see if that is something that happens. But honestly, I mean, that can happen just from regular life. You know, it depends on the person. You know, you could experience something in real life, and then you start blurring the line between your everyday life and when that traumatic incident happened. You know, you really kind of have to know yourself. Again, it's very introspective. You have to kind of try to get to know yourself. I know that's kind of a scary thing that most people shy away from, but I'm willing to bet that our listeners are very self-aware and understand the importance of knowing yourself. But blurring the line, I wouldn't really worry about that too much, because it can actually help make you more focused and more aware of your surroundings. Like, effects in lucid dream can carry over into the waking life, where you end up paying more attention to everything. So I would say that's a good thing.
Excellent answer. Thank you. With all of these kind of brain activity going on while you're lucid, do you usually feel rested after, lucid dreaming?
Yes, actually. So I really urge people to read Dr. Labarge's Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming. When you lucid dream, your body goes into a very, very rested state. So it can be a mentally intensive phenomena, but physically you just feel very well rested. Often people report, like after waking up from a lucid dream, people will report this feeling, like this euphoric feeling. So they just feel happy and great, and the feeling can last for days. And it may be because of the novelty of it, like it's something that's so out there. It's so different. Like I literally can't really compare lucid dreaming to anything else other than lucid dreaming. So, like let's say if you saw, I don't know, let's say you saw an alien in real life, like a friendly alien. You would be amazed. That feeling of amazement would carry over for a while. Think of lucid dreaming like that. It's kind of like it's such an amazing experience, and then usually it carries a very positive feeling associated with it because you're in control. I mean, in a lucid dream, you're in control. And I would argue that any of us have very little control over our actual lives. And honestly, I've said this before, lucid dreaming is probably the only place where I've ever experienced true freedom, because there are no limitations, and that can be a very, I don't know, just a great feeling. Like you just feel great having experienced that.
Okay. So the answer to that question is, yeah, you feel even better than rested. It sounds like you're kind of on a high for, several days after something awesome, right?
Yeah.
Similar to a concert, maybe. After a concert, you're just like riding that energy.
Yeah. Concert or just any experience that the thing about lucid dreaming is it can be emotional. It can be like, it feels very physical, even though it's all mental, but like it's a very visceral experience, and it can be extremely positive.
Awesome. So I would say that's probably one of the awesome benefits of lucid dreaming, but what are some other benefits of lucid dreaming that we might not have mentioned yet?
Okay, well, here's just a few off the top of my head. One, I have horrible food allergies, and in a lucid dream, I can eat anything that I want to. That alone is worth lucid dreaming, in my opinion. Two, you don't have to worry about, like, you can literally go Grand Theft Auto in a lucid dream and not have to worry about spending life in prison. So that's a big positive that we kind of touched on a little bit ago. Three, there's a lot of great scientists in history that have used dreams to help them solve problems that they may not have been able to in waking life. And what I mean to say is, if you're working on a problem, eventually you'll probably figure it out, but lucid dreaming can be a way for you to see things like in a different way, to try to solve problems. So that's another benefit. And also, following up on that, Dr. Stephen LaBarge talks about in his book where he had given this world-class violinist, he had given him music, like sheet music, to memorize and try to play only in his dream, never to actually play it in real life. So only to try to play it while he's lucid. And then after completing a certain amount of time of training of playing this in the lucid dream, then the guy played it almost perfectly on his first attempt to play it in the waking life. So there's a lot of beneficial ways to use lucid dreaming, and those are just a few.
Okay. I think we'd be here for a while listing all the benefits, and we have already mentioned quite a bit of them throughout our podcast. And
there's a lot.
Yeah. So for our last kind of important question of the day, so let's have you, Casey, give us some important things that you've taken or learned from lucid dreaming yourself.
Okay. Well, I could just give you an example of a lucid dream that I had. This was maybe 3 years ago. I have to look at my dream journal. I don't remember exactly when it was, but like we all carry a certain amount of emotions and thoughts that don't get a chance to be resolved during waking life, and they can be resolved in the strangest ways in dreams. So in this lucid dream that I had 3 years ago, I became lucid, and I was in this really cool looking mansion that was kind of like a Spanish architecture, but everything I kept flying through the mansion, and the mansion just kept like expanding as I was flying through it. And I would try to fly through the windows, and then the windows would just kind of like expand and dilate into more rooms of different colors. And eventually I found my way out of that mansion, even though I was having a lot of fun just flying through it. I flew out of the mansion, and it was this beautiful city with like this gorgeous turquoise, bluish, teal water that was all around it, and everything was built on like platforms and this kind of like terracotta platforms, and it looked very, I don't know, it was just great, very visual. And then everybody was like these elves basically just walking around. Everybody was really happy, and I was just flying around. But then there was this old Japanese lady that was digging through a dumpster. Like everybody was really happy and just walking around, and there's this old Japanese lady just digging through a dumpster, and I felt really bad for her, and I'm like, wow, nobody's doing anything. So I went up to her, and she seemed so sad, and really old, like 80 years old. I asked her, are you okay? You know, what's going on? She had like tears coming down her eyes, and her husband came up next to her, like from the side of the dumpster, and they both looked, and I was like, what's wrong with you guys? Just let me know. I can literally make anything happen for you right now. You know, they were both crying. They both looked like Holocaust survivors. Like they had like burn marks, and they were scarred and just very sad. And they said that they just wanted to make the pain go away. So I told them, you know, like I told them, I'm sorry. I don't know why you're so sad, but I gave them both a hug. They both just turned into like this light energy that became absorbed into my chest. And I just felt really, really light. I just felt like a great weight had been lifted. So that's a very, you know, I don't know what emotion exactly I was trying to resolve in my brain at that time, but I just know that I felt way better after I woke up. Like I just felt lighter and happier. And that's a great example of how dreams can help you resolve something, maybe in an abstract way. Maybe you just had some emotions that needed to be expressed in a certain way that you couldn't do it in real life. So yeah, that's probably the best takeaway that I can think of right now. There's a lot more, but I like that one.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. It sounds like lessons are hard to be learned, right? Or things are always hard to kind of cognitively work out.
Yeah.
And what it sounds like from your dream, from this one in particular, the experience really helped you work things out rather than you yourself diagnosing, hey, what's this feeling? I'm feeling this way, so I should kind of deal with it in this way to help make my mood or kind of improve my own self in that way.
Yeah, and I think that women might be better at that. Sorry if I sound sexist when I say it, but I think women are just better at resolving their emotions because, you know, we as guys, we often try to bottle them up. I know that I have difficulty dealing with my emotions, and dreams are definitely one avenue that I've taken that help in resolving any kind of like emotions that I might be having difficulty with. And I'd say that that's like, dreams can be extremely emotional, especially like people often forget that, like they can be very emotional and they can be a good thing.
All right, and thank you once again for sharing. And that's all the questions we have for today. If you reached it this far, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Let's Dream podcast. And remember, if you have any questions about lucid dreaming or just dreams in general, or if you have any interesting stories that you want to share with us, feel free to do so at contact@letsdreampodcast.com, or you can just send us a message. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. Just send us a message. Anyway, keep dreaming, people.